Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Let the record show that this meeting was properly advertised and all board members are present tonight, less Tim Hudson. There was a working session prior. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
All right, we'd like to offer public comment at the beginning and end of each of our meetings. Go ahead and offer that now. Don't see anyone here for public comment, so again, we'll offer at the end of the meeting. First item tonight is the approval of our minutes from the April 23rd, 2025 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those minutes, and if so, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes from April 23, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Bill to approve the minutes from the April 23rd, 2025 meeting. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item tonight is Resolution 2025-03. It's the public-private agreement for the wholesale water main Phase 1. And our legal counsel, Jeff Jacob, has that resolution.
Yes, thank you, Board. As the Board is aware and as discussed in the working session and probably several working sessions and other public meetings, the Board has elected to move forward with staff's recommendation and the scoring committee's recommendation of entering into a public-private agreement with Kekosine Construction, Inc. This resolution reflects that process that has the utility has undergone and then also approves the public-private agreement, which is attached to the resolution. One note, there were two exhibits, I believe, G and H, which were the deed and the easement release, which will be inserted into, should the board choose to approve this resolution and with the PPA agreement, those will be attached with Kekosine's authorization and for the general manager's signature. So I'm happy to answer any questions. John Leitner from Butler Fairman is also here, who was instrumental in putting together the PPA agreement and also the GMP report also on your agenda this evening.
All right, any comments before Jeff reads this resolution?
Resolution 2025-03, resolution approving public-private agreement for wholesale water main Phase 1. Whereas the City of Lebanon, Indiana owns and operates by and through the Lebanon Utility Service Board, a municipally owned utility known as Lebanon Utilities, for the purpose of providing safe, reliable, and efficient water service in and around the city. Whereas the board finds it in the best interest of the ratepayers, the utility, and the City of Lebanon to expand, improve, and maintain the infrastructure of the water system. Whereas the board authorized the issuance of a request for proposals for the construction and operation of a meter vault, ground storage tank, and booster station, the connection point with Citizens water infrastructure, large diameter water transmission lines to connect to the existing Lebanon utility system, and an elevated storage tank, we refer to as the project pursuant to Indiana code. Whereas the project is to completed on or before January 1, 2027. Whereas on or about April 9, 2025, the board conducted a public hearing related to the RFP, the project, and the scoring committee recommendation to select Kekosine Construction for construction of the project. Whereas after thorough review of the various submitted proposals and recommendations from the scoring committee and input from staff, the board approved the response to the RFP by Kekosine. Whereas the board recommended the negotiation of a public-private agreement for the construction of the wholesale water supply program Phase 1 with Kekosine. Whereas the board has received and reviewed the public-private agreement wholesale water supply program Phase 1 dated May 7, 2025 with Kekosine for the design and construction of the project. whereas the board has received and reviewed Cocosine's wholesale water supply program GMP report number 1, also attached to this resolution, and staff's recommendation to approve the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Lebanon Utility Service Board that number 1, the water PPA Phase 1 is approved and adopted by the board to become effective upon its execution by the utility general manager, and that GMP report number 1 is approved and adopted by the board to become effective upon its execution by the utility general manager. And before the board takes action on this motion, since the resolution also incorporates the Phase 1 GMP report, I would, if you have questions about that for Butler Fairman or myself, we'd be happy to answer those as well.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Comments, questions, discussion for anyone here from BFNS or Jeff?
As mentioned earlier, we reviewed this in quite a bit of detail in the working session.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-03, approving the public-private agreement for wholesale water main Phase 1, including approval of Cocosine Construction, Inc.'s GMP report number 1 for $28,600,000.
Second.
May I offer an amendment to that with the inclusion of exhibits G and H in the PPA agreement?
So move the amended motion.
Apologies for that. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Aaron, seconded by Ann, to approve resolution 2025-03 as stated for the public-private agreement for the wholesale water main Phase 1 with Cocosine. GMP report number 1. Amount is $28,600,000. Any additional comments, questions?
I think that I agree with it, but there are open issues on it. So that's my opinion.
All right, any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, our next item tonight is the Hackman Hewlett Litigation Service Engagement Letter. And our counsel, Mr. Jacob, again will address this item.
Yeah, thank you. Board, if you recall, in late 2024, when Hackman Hewlett, my law firm's engagement letter was approved, it provides for a carve-out for litigation-specific items. As you have met my law partner, Tony Rodolfo, we are proposing for an additional rate for litigation-specific items related to the land acquisition for the wholesale water, well, really for the water and wastewater infrastructure projects. We believe that this is it is a reduced hourly rate from what Mr. Rodolfo and I usually charge. It is higher than what we are currently charging for general services to the utility. Typically, litigation matters require a little bit more intensity, staff time, and resources. And I can represent that our insurance carrier looks at litigation a little differently than general services matter. So I'm happy to answer any other questions.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Questions?
Yes, this land acquisition legal services agreement, is it correct that it will be paid out of LEAP Lebanon loan proceeds and not paid by civil district ratepayers?
Mr. Smith, I'm happy to report after a conference call between Sandra Morgan, Scott Miller, and myself yesterday, we have confirmed that that will continue to be the case, even though that is not the traditional pattern for an SRF loan, but we have received confirmation of that. So the answer is yes.
Thank you.
Other comments, questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve litigation services engagement letter with Hackman Hewlett LLP related to land acquisition for the LEAP infrastructure improvement projects.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the litigation service engagement letter with Hackman Hewlett related to the land acquisition for the LEAP infrastructure improvement projects. Any additional comments?
I appreciate the way the legal counsel and his partner have educated this board about the legal acquisition, the land acquisition process, and I appreciate the diligence, and you're educating me, at least personally.
Yep. Thank you, Aaron. I think we'd all echo that. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to the wastewater SRF, wastewater treatment plant expansion contractor selection. Ryan Oettinger, our water and wastewater operations manager, is here tonight. Hey, Ryan.
Good evening. This request is for the approval of the tentative selection of Bowen Engineering for the wastewater treatment plant expansion as part of the wastewater treatment plant expansion and LEAP collections system improvements BOT program. Recently, we conducted, in February 27th of 2025, we advertised and also in March 6th of 2025 in the Lebanon Reporter and Indianapolis Star for RFP responses for these projects. We did receive 6 responses. A scoring committee of City Council President Dick Robertson, Kevin Krulik, City Engineer, board members Ann Patterson and Aaron Smith, and our General Manager Ed Baskell approved all of our the contractors on this job based on in-person interviews. We did make selections, and for the wastewater treatment plant expansion, we have chose Bowen to do the work on that. So we want to enter into good negotiations with Bowen on this, and also for authorization to advertise for a public hearing for this, which is part of our the SRF requirements on this. So that would be my request for the board, is to approve the tentative selection of Bowen Engineering for the wastewater treatment plant expansion and for authorization to advertise a public meeting.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Questions?
Public meeting will be at one of our regular sessions.
No, I believe for is the public hearing part of the regular session? I think it is, actually.
It will be,
As before.
it will occur contemporaneously with a regular meeting. Would
Okay,
be my
that's what I
plan.
was asking, if
It would be-
it'll appear on a regular meeting date.
Yes, but it would be a standalone, start at a specific time, public hearing.
And we'll get it properly advertised 7 days ahead of time with all the required documentation for public viewing at the information customer service desk.
All right. Any other comments or questions for Ryan on this item? Thanks to the committee for their work on this. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to move to approve the tentative selection of Boeing Engineering for the wastewater treatment plant expansion and authorization to advertise for a public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the tentative selection of Bowen Engineering for the wastewater treatment plant expansion and authorization to advertise for a public hearing. Any additional comments? Saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you, Ryan. Looks like you're staying put for a minute for the wastewater SRF LEAP collection system contractor selection.
Yes, this was the same scoring committee, same advertising, same selection process that we went through. The scoring committee did choose Reynolds Construction for this part project. This will be a a large lift station that will be in the LEAP for LEAP development, and with a force main that will come to the wastewater treatment plant, and also a large diameter sewer that will serve future developments in LEAP that will offer a connection point to in this process. This will be a regional lift station, quite larger than anything that we have. With all the LEAP anticipated flow coming to this lift station. Part of that will be as businesses develop in LEAP, they will be responsible for getting it to our lift station as part of that process. So we're going to show them where the designated area that they need to bring it to, and then their responsibility will be to get it to us. So my request would be to, just similar to the one we did for the wastewater treatment plant expansion, would be to the tentative selection of Reynolds Construction, and then also a public hearing. And after discussing with Jeff, both of those public hearings can occur at the same time. Is that accurate, Jeff, or at the same meeting? So we won't have to do two separate meetings for that. They can occur at the same time. So that would be my request, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on that.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Questions for Ryan on this item? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the tentative selection of Reynolds Construction for the LEAP collection system improvements as part of the wastewater treatment plant and LEAP collection system improvements BOT program, and authorize to advertise a public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the tentative selection of Reynolds Construction for the LEAP collection system improvement as part of the wastewater treatment plant and LEAP collection system improvements BOT program, and authorization to advertise for a public hearing. Additional comments, questions? Again, thanks to the committee for their work on this. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ryan, looks like Sugar Creek well number 3 repair.
Yes, recently the pump in the well at the Sugar Creek well number 3 has completely failed, locked up, and after being evaluated needs to be replaced. This well was scheduled for cleaning and maintenance in the fall as part of our routine maintenance program well rotation. So while it is down, we will go ahead and take care of that at the same time. So we're obviously not taking it back offline and going through that whole process again. So my request would be for the overhaul, the pump replacement for well number 3 on the motor failure. This is a budgeted item under capital improvements line item 13 in the water capital additions. And this would be for an amount of $34,740. I can answer any questions on this.
Ryan, I got a question. You know, since Sugar Creek wells are so important and Peerless has done the majority of the repair, and looking at the quotes and everything, I realized that, Peerless is about $10,000, and the other one, everybody is at least $10,000 over this contractor. My recommendation would be to go with Peerless.
And
What's your thoughts?
That would be my preference, to be quite honest with you. We do have the money in the budget for that. With the discrepancy on the cost, that was, I made a recommendation based on the lowest quote.
Yeah.
But if you ask my preference on a rehab of this magnitude, and the importance of having this well on, especially with our high peak time right around the corner, I would be more than happy to award that to Peerless.
Yeah.
I could make that recommendation.
Ron, I guess I bypassed you in a way. I went to Bobby Williams and questioned him about the difference in the price and whether or not he thought that Alderman could get the job done satisfactorily. And I guess we had about a 20-minute discussion, and he explained all the details of everything to me to the point where I understood 50% of it. And I'm not disagreeing with your professional opinion. I'm just sharing that Bobby expressed confidence in two of the contractors, and that was both Peerless and Ortman. Do you and Bobby have a little bit of a disagreement about whether Ortman could get the job done?
No, I don't think there's a question of whether they could get the job done. But if you're asking me based on history, based on amount of time spent on these wells, and based on failure success rate that we've had with Peerless Midwest, I would have more confidence. But
See, Ortman has done some work for us, haven't they?
they have. Everybody that submitted a quote has done work for us.
I got a question. Our process, typically we go with the lowest bidder unless we're doing a qualification like we did picking like the two recent items. Do you think maybe in the future what we need to do is some sort of process where we go through and maybe pick Peerless with a price sheet to do all of our well maintenance, or pick whoever, pick Ortman, pick one of these contractors, because it just seems like it's our process is really just to get bids and get the lowest bid. So if we don't pick the lowest bid and we're assigning something else, I just think whatever the board wants to do today at their pleasure, going forward, do we want to have some sort of qualification process similar to what you did with the lift station control panels and like we've just done here?
Yeah, I think that RFQs, request for qualification process, if that's the way that would be my preferred way to pick or select a contractor based on the best qualifications, as opposed to only going with the lowest price. A lot of times it works out to where they're both, but not always. So, if that's how we want to do it in the future, that would be a process that we could go through and work through that. I think that would be we've got that process down pretty well on other items. I think we can do that.
I agree with that.
If I may interject, so if you're contemplating not going with the low bid in this, I would suggest and encourage the board that you need to make some specific findings as to why you are not going with the low bid, whether that's qualified to handle it, whether or not you don't believe that a variety of issues, but otherwise it has been the board's policy to go with in this kind of request format to go with the lowest bid.
My opinion would be that past experience with Sugar Creek, that Peerless Midwest has done the majority of the work at Sugar Creek, and Sugar Creek wells are very important. If we lose a well at Sugar Creek, especially with the iron problem we've got at Chicago, I just think that would be my opinion.
Have you had any problems with Ortman? Have they done work for us too?
They have done work for us in the past, and there were some delays, but I couldn't tell you if that was based on Ortman or if that was just the nature of the circumstances. I don't know enough to be able to say that they were preventable, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I guess to Jeff's point, Jeff, is that specific enough information for us to really
Enough info,
support
or
that?
more?
Well, I mean, so if your finding is that in using Ortman in the past, that it has resulted in additional expense and you don't find them a responsible bidder in this situation, then you can reject it. But it really seems that I don't know that I've heard quite a bit enough personally about whether or not, or to get there, to reject them as a responsive bidder in this matter.
I'll tell you, my recommendation to the board is, since you've already selected Ortman, we go with them for this one, but we work through a process for an RFQ for a well contractor. Design it similar to some of the other ones we've done, work with legal, of course, get Mr. Stoner's input, and maybe it ends up being Peerless, and maybe it ends up being some other one else that is more responsive when they look at our well work in general, which is a higher number. That's what we found with the control panels and some other items, is that when you bundle the work together, you generate more interest. But for this one, with a timing standpoint and the fact you've already selected it and it's our process, we want to get this going right now, don't we? Because of the Chicago Street and because of the summer coming.
And Ryan, these are apples to apples estimates, right? Is there anything else included in Peerless that may have made this estimate
I asked
higher?
that specific question to Bobby, and it is apples to apples. I was a little surprised because of the difference, and we discussed it in some detail, and Bobby convinced me it was apples to apples. Do you have a different opinion, Ryan?
It is apples to apples.
Okay.
So the board can make a finding that they believe that one bidder does not have the capacity to complete the project or the experience, which is sort of what I'm hearing the board frame in terms of what the issue is here. I don't want to interject myself into decision-making, but I don't know that you have enough information to make that finding relative to Ortman's overall experience to complete this project. You can also draw on other projects on whether or not you've had a bad experience, whether that's bled over and there's been overages, but that sort of falls into that experiential category as well.
Ryan, has Ortman done a well cleaning for us, or they've just done different projects?
They've done some repairs, not a well cleaning. Well cleanings are pretty simple. That is something they could do.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds to me like, just based on what Jeff's saying and the estimates we have and the board's policy in the past, that Ortman's probably the one we're going with here. And this one, and then if we want to get RFQs going forward.
I don't have a problem with RFQs going forward, but to not go with Peerless, it's a mistake in my opinion. I won't vote for it. I will not vote for going with what we have.
Is that bill based on Ortman's performance or Peerless's excellence?
I think it's Peerless excellence, and I think it outweighs Ortman's. That's my opinion, but I will not vote for Ortman.
Yep. Any other comments? Aaron, anything else?
No.
But
Ann, anything else?
Well, when I was reading through these quotes, I had some of the same thoughts, I guess, that Mr. Stoner had. And so nothing you said is surprising to me, but I don't know that I can say with as much conviction as you can that Ortman is not qualified to do the work. So I tend to think that we need to go with the lower bid here. And that's just kind of, I'll show my hand.
all right. Any other questions for Ryan? Comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve Ortman Well Company to rehab Sugar Creek Well number 3 for $34,739.65.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Ann to approve Ortman Well Company to rehab the Sugar Creek Well number 3 for $34,739.65. Additional comments, questions?
Question for legal counsel. It'll require 3 votes to pass it, right?
Correct.
Okay, so chairman may have to vote this time, possibly.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, we have one nay. All right, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, next item, we have the Reese Park Lift Station Supplemental Agreement. It's an action item, and Spencer Portish is here tonight. Hey, Spencer.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? This request is for the supplemental agreement number 4 for the Reese Park Lift Station project to cover the remaining inspection and project management to complete this phase 2. The additional project management and construction inspection for this phase 2 is required to bring this project to completion due to the added scope of work, including the Fordyce Road sewer replacement project that was completed with this project's cost savings, and delays caused by easement acquisition that have extended the construction duration. Even though this is an increase, I'd like to point out that this still keeps us under the project's total budget of $5.8 million. Overall, I would like to request the supplemental agreement number 4, increasing the amount by $50,000 from $533,620 to a total of not to exceed $583,620.
All right, Spencer, do you know how the Reese Park project coming along? Is it substantially complete, would you say?
We're not there yet. I believe we don't have anybody here from Concosi. We're moving along pretty well. I know we've just started this last week on the portion between Dairy Queen and 32 there, 39. So we're working through that. But overall, just moving along.
Right. Any other questions on this item for Spencer? I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve supplemental agreement number 4, increasing the amount by $50,000, changing the overall not to exceed from $533,620 to a new not to exceed of $1,620. And that's for the Reese Park Lift Station supplement.
We have a motion by Ann. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Aaron to approve the supplemental agreement number 4 for Reese Park Lift Station by $50,000 from $533,620 to $583,620. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. That was a nay, is that correct, Bill?
That's correct.
All right, I'll vote aye. So that motion carries. All right, next item tonight is the approval of our claims, payroll, and transfers dated May 7th, 2025. Everyone had a chance to review those items? If so, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the claims payroll transfers dated May 7, 2025 in the amount of $1,286,768.70 for claims and payroll and $7,491,779.69 for transfers.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the claims, payrolls, and transfers dated May 7th, 2025. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, any new business from the board tonight? Or other business? Ed, anything from you tonight? No?
I was looking for Jeff.
there
Jeff
he
Grino
is.
has something.
Yeah,
I was looking
Jeff's got something.
I was looking for him. So, but no, I
Jeff?
don't other than Jeff.
What's going on, Jeff?
Hi, I just wanted the board to be aware and the customers of Lebanon Utilities, if I can turn this on.
It's on there.
Okay, good.
Okay, Lebanon Utilities received a certificate in excellence and reliability. I'll read this out to you. It says, "This is to acknowledge that Lebanon Utilities has significantly exceeded the 5-year average for all the U.S. electric utilities for reliable electric service. The utility participates in the American Public Power Association's e-reliability tracker service to track its power outages and restore against national benchmarks. So I wanted to give a shout out to the electrical department, and I want to make note too that this certificate we received, it was in help from the other departments in our utility, which they're kind of behind the scenes. They help us out in times of need. And just to mention a few, we have the meter shop, customer service, water, sewer. With all of us working together, that's how we receive certificates like this. So I'd like to thank all the other departments on behalf of the electric department for assisting us in getting this award.
Thanks, Jeff. That's a nice recognition for us. And, you know, it's power outages get a lot of attention, as you know, and
Yes, they do.
Even when they don't happen very often, no one speaks out about how often the power is on because it's on a lot. So appreciate you bringing that to the meeting tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that and just say thank you to the electric department, the water and the wastewater. We're out of sight and out of mind. You only hear about a problem when we're having one. I think this was yesterday morning, they had a goose fly into power lines. And we did have customers text us. Were we able to save the goose? But we were able to get the power back on, and I want to say about 15 minutes. I don't think the goose made it. But I will say that our guys are behind the scenes. They don't really like a lot of attention, but they deserve it. They keep the water flowing. And when there's a sewer problem, they fix it before anyone even knows about it most of the time. And it's truly, as one of our board members likes to say, neighbors serving neighbors. So I just want to say thank the electric department and thank all of Lebanon Utilities for the job they do and neighbors serving neighbors. Thanks.
I want to add to this neighbor serving neighbor ethos. My wife and I were out for a walk one morning recently, and we drove by the bridge at Elmwood Drive, and there were three repairing a yard that had been disturbed from a previous year, a water extension the previous year. Those three employees were Ryan Ottinger and Spencer Portish and Matt Hutton, three of our more highly positioned folks in our hierarchy, and they were putting down grass seed and topsoil and straw, and so I asked them how they came about doing this, and they said that they got a call this morning, and they were the only folks available. All the other crews were busy. So I thought it's a remarkable anecdote on our neighbor serving neighbor ethos that three of our more high-art people would respond immediately to a customer's request in such a manner. And it also indicates about how well our teams work together, that our water wastewater operations manager, Ryan Ottinger, could have waited later in the day or another day to send out another crew, but he cared enough about customer service himself, and so did his other members, that they went out and took care of the situation immediately. And I think that's just it's just one small anecdote, but it really expresses the importance of our neighbor serving neighbor ethos and how all our folks do it. And I just wanted to at this time where we were recognizing such laudable efforts on part of our locally owned utility, I just wanted to share that additional anecdote.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, it's quick action, Ryan and Spencer. Good job, guys. And appreciate you bringing that up, Aaron, as well, because that stuff goes unnoticed. So, all right. Anything else for the good of the board tonight? Public comment again. I don't see anyone here. Looks like we're scheduled for May 21st for our next meeting. And if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Aaron.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.